Prabhu. All glories to the Prabhupada Disciples Association. We're broadcasting live from Eastern Canada this morning on Sunday at 10 a.m. And we have a weekly sadhana program of classes which operate Sunday morning with Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam from the original unrevised classic Bhagavatam that Prabhupada prepared in 1962. So we get very deep insight into the level of Krishna consciousness that our Guru had before he even started the ISKCON movement in America in 1965-66. So it's on both sides, but somehow or other it's just the way I put it up. This might be my finger. So at any rate, yes, appearance is very important for a devotee. I've been talking to my godbrother Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu about hair and beards and things like that. So we try to keep clean shaven if possible. Nowadays, in the modern world, everything is in fashion. Just know that. So even if you have long hair or short hair, it's not really that important. I personally shaved my head with the Sika. My friend Drupada years ago, I was used to shave it completely off because it was more convenient for me, and I didn't have a barber really. So I thought, well, I'll just shave my head down. And then he started to create a Sika for me. And after a while, I became comfortable with the Sika, and then gradually people saw me and became accustomed to seeing it. And then all of a sudden, people were saying, that's quite a nice fashion statement you have. My things have changed. So we should always look first class when we go out and always present ourselves in a first class manner. This is what Prabhupada would like to see in his representatives, his preachers of the Sankirtan mission of Lord Chaitanya. So today we're going to carry on with our reading of the diary of Śrīla Prabhupāda. Here, I'll show you again. Because some of you are new to our classes. I know that we have a rotating schedule of people that are part of the Prabhupada Disciples Association attendees at these programs. So it's a rotation. We like to see people consistent as much as possible, but everybody has their own schedules, and we understand that. We're carrying on anyway without hesitation because we see the long-term benefit of this for the future generations that come to our classes, and they'll see us, providing the internet is still operating, they'll see our classes and how we presented this philosophy as senior disciples of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. Someone could say, well, how can you say that? Well, by age and time and experience. Someone may throw a stone. I always say to people, you're going to throw stones. Don't throw them when you live in a glass house. Don't throw stones when you live in a glass house. Everybody has faults. Everyone has difficulties. But at the same time, people have to look at the positive things that are going on in the life of an individual or individual, like all of our members of the PDA, Prabhupada They're trying their best to maintain Krishna consciousness and spread the Sankirtan movement through this vehicle that we've created and are in the process of developing. So, Prabhupada, yesterday, you're right, Vinkat, I was looking at the post. I saw only 2 pages. It was surprising. And I do remember reading February 11th, 1966. And when I was looking at it, I said, oh, geez, I read that already, but I can't remember that I sent it to Vinkat to post up on the screen for everybody to see. But looking at February 11th was stunning, how Prabhupada was so dynamic in terms of his energy to spread Krishna consciousness in New York City by contacting all these major media outlets. Phenomenal. Such a humble person, but so confident of what he was doing. So confident that Lord Chaitanya was with him, that his guru was with him. He had no fear whatsoever. So we'll go to, it was yesterday's reading showed him contacting all these radio stations. It was absolutely fantastic. There they are there. Look at those radio stations. Stunning. I used to be a little bit like this, contacting our own radio stations here in Hamilton, and going on the air and preaching Krishna consciousness years ago. Just slightly embarrassing to see how lethargic we can become in our Krishna consciousness. Lethargic. So here we are, Saturday, the 12th of February, 1966. Prabhupada's writing here, Mrs. Charlotte LeBlanc was to come here in the morning. I waited for her till 10:50 o'clock, but she did not turn up. Prabhupada's watching very carefully how things are going on daily in his life. He had an expenditure, a bus fare of 60 cents. Must have been both ways, 30 cents this way, 30 cents that way. Received the following letters from 1, Rockefeller Foundation, and 2, from Miss Sally Agarwal in Ohio. Okay, so Mrs. Charlotte LeBlanc was contacted by phone. She will come on Monday in the evening after 7. So follow up, persistence. This is a principle of highly successful people. And Prabhupada was always conscientious of that. Follow up, keep going, don't stop. Sunday, February 13th, Mr. Cohen promised to come at my place by 3 o'clock afternoon, but he did not turn up. So people weren't taking him very seriously, it appears. Today, the whole day was raining. Talked with Mr. Mukherjee of 9 La Salle by telephone. Also with Mrs. J.K. Banerjee, correspondent of Hindustan Standard. He has given his phone number as follows. PL4 1234 extension 2180. No expenditures. Monday, February 14th, 1966. Today, I tried to contact Cohen by phone, but he was not available. I went to see him at his place at about 4:30, but he was not available. Hopeless. Hopeless. I know how you feel. I've advised the president of Paragon Book Gallery to receive 25 sets sent by Sally Agarwal. He has noted the message. Expenditures, Vegetables and butter, 95 cents. Bus fare, 30 cents. So $1.25. Appears, Yaśodā, that Prabhupada's possibly trying to save 30 cents because he's going, one way by bus. So he might be walking to where he's going to buy his items, and then he takes the bus back or the other way around to get his exercise. Tuesday, February 15th. Today, Cohen and Salak came. They have some difficulty. Mrs. LeBlanc also attended class from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Tried to contact Mr. Banerjee, but not successful. No letter received and no expenditures. Proposal for Gita editing made to Mrs. LeBlanc, and she almost agreed. So you can see this, he's not getting much result from a lot of people, but he's not stopping. This goes on. And do we have one more day? 15th? Yeah, or 16th. Thank you, Vinkat. Wednesday, February 16th, 1966. Every day is memorable for us in this explanation through his diary of the work he was doing in building Krishna consciousness worldwide. Today I have sent reminders to Śrīla Tirtha Maharaj and Shripad Ban Maharaj. So he's contacting his godbrothers in an effort to try to bring them in to his work in the West, hoping they would help him. Did they? Nope. Saw Mr. Banerjee and Bogart. Letter received from Mr. Morrow. Not agreeable. Rejection again. Expenditure, bus fare 30 cents. Ekadasi surpassed to observe tomorrow. Dwadasi. Interesting. So we'll carry on Wednesday with this diary reading, Thursday, 17th of February, 66. And right now, we're going to move forward with our Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam class given by His Grace Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu. We so much appreciate his presentations every week to all of us. And we'll ask Vinkat Prabhu, please bring forward the Jaya Radha Madhava bhajan that Prabhupada chanted before each class. And we can go ahead with the reading and discussion from the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. All glory to Śrīla Prabhupāda.
Sai. Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari
Jaya
Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki jai, Namacharya Śrīla Haridas Thakur ki jai, Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhaktivedanta ki jai, Shri Radha Krishna Gaur Gopinath Sam Kund Radha Kund Girivardhan ki jai, Vrindavan Dham ki jai, Navadvip Dham ki jai, Swami Bhaktivedanta ki jai, Ganga Mai ki jai, Jamuna Mai ki jai, Tulasi Devi ki jai, Bhakti Devi ki jai, Swami Bhaktivedanta ki jai. All glories to the assembled Lord. All glories to the assembled Lord. Thank you very much.
Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya. Narayanam Namaskritya. Naram Cheva Narottamam. Naram Cheva Narottamam. Devim Saraswatim Vyasam. Devim Saraswatim Vyasam. Tato Jayam Mudirayet. Tato Jayam Mudirayet. From Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, Text number 4. One should utter the means of conquest, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, after offering respectful obeisances, 1, to the personality of Godhead Narayana, 2, to the Narayana Rishi, who is the superforemost human being, 3, to the Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, then 4, to Śrīla Vyasadeva, the author. From Canto number 1, Chapter number 2, Text number 17. Shrindvatam Svakata Krishna Punyashravana Kirtanaha Ridyantasto Yabadrani Vidunoti Suritsatam. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is also the Paramatma in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, does cleanse the desire for material enjoyment in the heart of the devotee, who has developed the urge for hearing his, Krishna's messages, which are themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. Text number 18. Nashta prayeshu vabhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. By regular attendance in the Bhagavatam class or rendering service unto the pure devotees, all that is inauspicious in the heart of a candidate becomes destroyed almost to nil, and thus loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental song, comes into being, an irrevocable fact. So So welcome everybody to this reading and discussion. We are reading from the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. This is the original 1962 non-edited version by His Divine Grace Śrīla Prabhupāda. All English synonyms, translations, and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda, Founder-Ācārya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, also known as the Krishna Consciousness Movement. Today we'll be reading from Canto 1, Chapter 2, text number 23. Sattvam rajastamo iti prakriter gunaste yukta parapurusha eka ihasya datte sthityadaye harivirincha hariti sangaha shriyamsi tatra khalu sattvatano nrinam syuhu. Sattvam, goodness; rajas, passion; tamo, darkness of ignorance; iti, thus; prakriter, of the material nature; gunas, qualities; ter, by them; yuktaha, associated by; paraha, transcendental; purusha, the personality; eka, one; ihasya, of this material world; datye, accept; sthityadaye, for the matter of creation, maintenance, and destruction, etc. Hari, Vishnu, the personality of Godhead; Virinchi, Brahma; Hara, Lord Shiva; iti, thus; Sangaha, different creatures; Shriyamsi, ultimate benefit; Tatra, therein; Kalu, of course; Sattva, goodness; Tano, form; Nrinam, of the human being; Syuhu, derive. Translation by His Divine Grace Śrīla Prabhupāda. The transcendental personality of Godhead is indirectly associated with the three modes of material nature, namely goodness, passion, ignorance, and just for material world's creation, maintenance, and destruction. He accepts the three qualitative forms of Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshvara trio. Out of them, the form of the quality of goodness, Vishnu, is just suitable for deriving the ultimate benefit for all human beings. Purport by Śrīla Prabhupāda. Why Lord Krishna, by his plenary part, shall be rendered devotional service, as it is explained above, is confirmed by this statement. Lord Sri Krishna and all his plenary parts are Vishnu Tattva, or the Lordship of Godhead. From Sri Krishna, the next manifestation is Baladeva. From Baladeva is Samkarshana. From Samkarshana is Narayana. Again, from Narayana, there is the second Samkarshana, and from this Samkarshana, the Vishnu Purusha avatars. The Vishnu, or the deity of the quality of goodness in the material world, is the Purusha avatars known as Kshiro Dakashayi Vishnu, or Paramatma. Brahma is the deity of Rajas, passion, and Shiva for ignorance. They are three departmental heads of the three qualities of this material world. Creation is made possible by the quality of passion and endeavor. It is maintained by the goodness of Vishnu, and when it is required to be destroyed, Lord Shiva does it by Tandav Nritya. The materialists and the foolish human beings do worship Brahma and Shiva respectively, but the pure transcendentalists do worship the form of goodness Vishnu in his various forms. Vishnu is manifested by his millions and billions of integrated forms and separated forms. The integrated forms are called Godhead, and the separated forms are called the living entities or the jivas. But either jivas or Godhead, both of them have their original spiritual forms. The jivas are sometimes subjected under the control of the material energy, but the Vishnu forms are always controller of the material energy. When Vishnu, or the personality of God, appears in the material world, he comes to deliver the conditioned living beings who are under the material energy. Such living being appears in the material world with intention of lording it over falsely, and thus become entrapped by the three modes of nature. As such, the living entities have to change the material coverings for undergoing different terms of imprisonment. The prison house of the material world is created by Brahma under instruction of the personality of Godhead, and at the conclusion of a kalpa, the whole thing is destroyed by Shiva. But so for maintenance of the prison house is concerned, but so far maintenance of the prison house is concerned, it is done by Vishnu, as much as the state prison house is maintained by the state. Anyone, therefore, who may wish to get out of this prison house of material existence, which is full of miseries like the repetition of birth, death, diseases, and old age, he must please Lord Vishnu for such liberation. Lord Vishnu is worshipped by devotional service only, and if anyone has to continue the prison life in the material world, he may ask for relative facilities from the different demigods like Shiva, Brahma, Indra, Varuna, etc., for temporary relief. No such demigods can, however, release the imprisoned living being from the conditioned life of material existence except Vishnu. As such, the ultimate benefit may be derived from Vishnu, the personality of Godhead. Text 24. Partibad darunu dumas tasmad agnistrayim mayaha tamasasturachas tasmat sattvam yad brahma darshanam. Partibad, from earth, daruno, fire, wood, dumas, smoke, tasmat, from that, agnis, fire, trayi, Vedic sacrifices, tamasas, the mode of ignorance, two, but, rajas, the mode of passion, tasmat, from that, sattvam, the mode of goodness, yad, which, Brahma, Brahma, the absolute truth, darshanam, realization. Translation. The firewood is transformation of the earth, and smoke is better than the raw wood. And fire is still better because by fire we can derive so many benefits by superior knowledge, Vedas. Similarly, Rajas quality of matter is better than the Tamas quality, but Sattva quality is the superior quality by which one can realize the absolute truth. Purport by Śrīla Prabhupāda. As explained above, that one can get release from the conditional life of material existence by the devotional service of the personality of Godhead. It is further comprehended herein that one has to rise up to the platform of the mode of goodness, sattvam, so that one can be eligible for the devotional service of the Lord. but there is impediment in such progressive path, and anyone even from the platform of tamas quality, one can gradually rise up to the sattvam platform by the expert direction of the spiritual master. Such desiring candidates must therefore approach an expert spiritual master for such progressive march, and the bona fide expert spiritual master is competent to direct a disciple from any stage of life, tamas, rajas, or sattvam. It is mistake, therefore, to consider that worship of any quality or any form of the personality of Godhead is equally beneficent. Except Vishnu, all other separated forms are manifested under the conditions of the material energy, and therefore the forms of material energy cannot help anyone to rise up to the platform of sattva, which alone can liberate a person from the material bondage. Uncivilized state of life, or the life of the lower animals, are controlled by the mode of tamas. Civilized life of man with a passion for various type of material benefit is the stage of rajas. The rajas stage of life as a slight clue to the realization of the absolute truth in the forms of fine sentiments in philosophy, art, and culture with moral and ethical principles. But the mode of sattvam is still higher stage of material quality, which actually helps one in realizing the absolute truth. In other words, as there is qualitative difference between the three modes of nature, similarly there is difference between the different kinds of worshiping method, as well as the respective results derived out of the predominating deities, namely Brahma, Vishnu, and Hara. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Deshatarine Bhakti Siddhanta Shishyaya Bhaktivedanta Namine Prasannaya Prashantaya Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Bhagavad Vandanam Khadyam Guru Vandana Purvakam Kshiram Sharkara Yuktam Kadatehi Visheshatah Adadana Strinam Danter Idam Yachi Punaha Punaha Śrīmad Rupa Padam Bhoja Dulishyam Janma Janmani. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Before we begin this discussion, I wanted to point out two very nice backgrounds. From Ram Rakava Prabhu, he has a beautiful little altar behind there and a picture of Śrīla Prabhupāda on the left. And from Italy, Vijay Pandit Prabhu and his good wife Gopika, behind their heads, they have their deities in the corner. Very nice. Beautiful setup there on the altar. Very sweet. Also, I've seen that when our friend Shyamasundar from Australia, behind him, there's a picture of the Samkirtan of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, and Advaita Prabhu dancing. So it is very, very auspicious. Very nice. Before we begin the discussion, I just want to point out, I've had several devotees asking me, what are some of these shlokas or mantras you're reciting before the beginning of the class, because some of these are not found in Prabhupada's books. So one of those, this particular verse is by Raghunath Das Goswami in a book called Mukta Charita. And it goes, Adadana Srinam Danteri Dam Yachi Punapuna. That I put a piece of grass in my mouth and I pray at the lotus feet of Rupa Goswami that I can become a dust at his lotus feet, birth after birth. It's a very nice devotional sentiment. Another one of those is from an Acharya in the Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya named Vedanta Deshika. Prabhupada quotes him in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. And he's expressing Bhagavad Vandanam Karyam Guru Vandana Purvakam. That before one begins worship of the Supreme Lord, one should begin first by worshiping the spiritual master, Guru Vandana Purvakam. He gives the example, just like milk is naturally very nourishing and very sweet, but by adding a little bit of sugar, it becomes a little sweeter. So in this way, by worshiping the Acharya, the bona fide guru, the bona fide authorized guru, the empowered guru, the worship of the Supreme Lord becomes a little sweeter. These are just a few nice prayers to remember the lotus feet of our great Acharyas. And there's another prayer that was composed in 1976 by a devotee named Anantaram Shastri. He was a very interesting devotee. He was a Vaishnava from a village in North India. He was a Shastri, which is one of the highest Sanskrit learning qualifications in India. And basically, this person could read Sanskrit just like you could read English, Italian, or French. So when Prabhupada found out about him, he said, oh, you can come here, live with us. Prabhupada even told him in a very humble way that you can help me translate the Bhagavatam. Not that Prabhupada needed anybody's help, but he was trying to engage him. So first what Prabhupada did with him, he says, well, every night when the sun goes down, you go around the building in Mayapur and you chant the Purusha Sukta with a conch shell and spread some water around. So what happened every night, we would go with him and he would chant the Purusha Sukta, the sacred prayers on, glorifying Lord Vishnu, very melodious, and he would take a conch shell and sprinkle holy water. And Prabhupada one time explained that an hour and a half before the sun goes down, in Antariksha, between the earth and the next planetary system, this is where all the ghosts, the Brahmarakshasas, and all the jinns and all kinds of inauspicious beings, they come out. And by chanting Vishnu Sahasranam, Purusha Sukta, prayers, Hare Krishna, they cannot cause trouble. So Prabhupada had him do that. So he composed a prayer. There were 23 Sanskrit prayers called the Prabhupada Stotram, out of which he chose 5 prayers. And before the Bhagavatam class in 1976 at the Mayapur festival, he would recite these Sanskrit prayers. So one of these prayers goes by Bhaktisiddhanta Shishyaya, Bhaktivedanta Namine, that I offer my respectful obeisances to Bhaktivedanta, who is the foremost disciple of Bhaktisiddhanta, Prasannaya Prasantaya, who is very peaceful, very equipoised, and I offer my respectful obeisances unto my spiritual master. I'm just paraphrasing here, which is a very nice eulogy to Śrīla Prabhupada. And there's other prayers. They're actually available on YouTube. Prabhupada in 1976, we used to go in front of Śrīla Prabhupada with Gurukul children and recite these 5 prayers in front of him. And later on in 1977, Śrīla Prabhupada said that these prayers, if devotees recite these prayers, they will develop nice affection for the spiritual master, namely himself. So just a little bit of background here. Interesting point in these 2 verses about the position of Lord Brahma, Lord Vishnu, and Lord Shiva. It is described in various Puranas that the material world, also in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, that the material world is created by Lord Brahma, and Lord Shiva destroys the material world, and Lord Vishnu maintains the material world. Now, it is quite significant that in so many places in Śrīla Prabhupada's books, he makes a clear distinction between the position of Lord Vishnu, the Vishnu Tattva, and the demigods. Because as anybody knows, especially those people who have been born in India or from Indian descent, there is the tendency by the impersonalists, the Mayavadis, to confute or mix by saying that all the gods are the same. Well, they're not quite all the same. There's the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, and the Vishnu Tattvas, the incarnations, and the demigods. It is not the same. One may believe falsely that they're the same, but that is not a fact. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna explains in chapter 7, text 7, Matta parataram nanyat kinchid asti dhananjaya. There is no truth superior to me. Everything rests upon me just like pearls strung on a thread. Just like sometimes we put these beautiful decorations on the deities, or ladies will have a necklace of pearls. But these pearls, they have to be on a thread, otherwise they will not stand. So everything in the world, both the material and spiritual world, is resting upon Lord Krishna. Krishna also describes how everything, Bhagavad Gita chapter 10, number 8, Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate, that everything is coming from me. So the position of Krishna, his unique, special position, is explained nicely in Bhagavad Gita and also in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. We see in the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam how Sutta Goswami was explaining to the sages of Naimisharanya, Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Of all the incarnations, this personality, Krishna, Lord Krishna, is the original personality of Godhead. Now, this is very important to understand because it is very, especially in South India and all over India, some people have the mistaken belief that all the gods, all the demigods, and Krishna, it's all the same. Not quite. We see from the Padma Purana and other scriptures, Alodya sarva shastrani vicharya cha puna puna Narayanam, that the personality of Lord Narayana, Lord Krishna, is the supreme personality of Godhead. After looking at all the different Shastras, this is a point that all the Vaishnavacharyas have emphasized. Yastu Narayanam Devam Brahma Rudradi Devate Samatvena Bhiksheta Sapashandi Bhavedruvam. That if one thinks that all the demigods like Brahma, Shiva, Indra, Vayu, all these demigods are the same as Lord Vishnu, Sapashanti Bhavedruvam, is an offender, a Pashandi, a blasphemer. So unless one hears from an authorized spiritual master, it is very difficult to understand the position of all these various points, these transcendental tattvas. That is why in the Vedas it is described, Tad vinganartam sa gurumeva bigachet, samit panihi srutriyam brahmanishtam. That in order to understand the truth, you must approach a bona fide acharya. So the question comes, well, how to approach the bona fide acharya? Who is the bona fide acharya? Śrīla Prabhupāda, through his transcendental instructions, through his transcendental books, is approaching the whole world. Previously, especially in India, the Acharya Guru would live in a village or the bank of a river, and the prospective disciple would approach the Guru. Now the Jagat Guru of the universe, Śrīla Prabhupada, is approaching people all over the world every day through his transcendental instructions, through his transcendental books. Simply one has to develop the affinity for oral reception. Then one can understand the position of the avatars, the position of the demigods, and the difference between the individual living entities and the Godhead, Krishna. Prabhupada is explaining in the purport to text number 23, but the pure transcendentalists do worship the form of goodness Vishnu in his various forms. Vishnu is manifested by his millions and billions of integrated forms and separated forms. The integrated forms are called Godhead, and the separated forms are called the living entities or the jivas. But either the jivas or Godhead, both of them have their original spiritual forms. The jivas are sometimes subjected under the control of the material energy, but the Vishnu forms are always controller of the material energy. When Vishnu, or the personality of Godhead, appears in the material world, he comes to deliver the conditioned living beings who are under the material energy. So this is a very important point, because when Lord Vishnu comes in the material world, he is never under the influence of the material energy. We see in the Bhagavad Gita, our Lord Krishna describes how intelligence means Janma Mritu Jara Vyadi Dukkha Dosha Anudarsanam. Anudarsanam means the power to see, the power to distinguish. Dukkha Dosha, that there's great danger, there's great fallacy in accepting this suffering position. What is that suffering? Birth, death, old age, and disease. A person has to be intelligent enough. Why is there suffering? I remember one time I was in Canada, and after my father died, there was a meeting of various relatives, and some of them were emotionally shook up. So I had a Bhagavad Gita with me, and I spoke to a relative. I said, you know, a person never really dies. The body dies, but the soul lives eternally. Because they were all emotionally affected. Oh, we lost this person is gone. I said, well, the body is still there. What happened to him? The soul went on to another destination. But people who are under the influence of Maya, or the illusory energy, it's very difficult to understand this point. That's why in the Bhagavad Gita, in chapter 2, text 13, Krishna says, Dhirastatra na muhyati. Only somebody who could become dhira, or sober, can understand this and not be disturbed. And that is the whole point of the human life, to hear from the bona fide Acharya and become dhira. How does one become a dhira, or sober, transcendently sober? By restraining from engaging in sinful activity, meat eating, illicit sexual relations, gambling, intoxication, mental speculation, so many disease, materialistic activities that creates that problem of birth, death, old age, and disease. But a person who does not know, or who is under the influence of Maya, cannot understand. Therefore, Prabhupada explains in the last paragraph of text number 23, anyone, therefore, who may wish to get out of this prison house of material existence, which is full of miseries like repetition of birth, death, diseases, and old age, he must please Lord Vishnu for such liberation. Lord Vishnu is worshipped by devotional service only. And if anyone has to continue the prison life in the material world, he may ask for relative facilities from the different demigods like Shiva, Brahma, Indra, Varuna, etc. for temporary relief. No such demigods can, however, release the imprisoned living being from the conditioned life of material existence, except Vishnu. As such, the ultimate benefit may be derived from Vishnu, the personality of Godhead. We see in the Bhagavad Gita, our Śrīla Prabhupāda explained, Yajna Vai Vishnu, that the aim of all sacrifices, of all work, should be to please Lord Vishnu. And somebody may ask, well, why do that? Why not offer to the demigods and get some material benefit? Because that will not save you. We've often discussed how Sachidananda Bhaktivedanta Thakur, one of our great previous Acharya, that Prabhupada called the pioneer of Krishna consciousness in the Western world, that he describes in one of his songs, Miche Maraya Bashe, Kache Bache, Kache Habudu Babai, that being in the material world is just like a person who is a criminal that is caught by the king. They used to punish them by dunking their head into water for some time, give him a little relief, and then dunking the head into water again. Ultimately, there's no real relief. Similarly, in material existence, even if one is elevated to the platform of the demigods and have a very nice long life with much better facility for sense enjoyment, still he has to come back. When the merits of their pious activities is over, Kshinya Portye Martyalokam Vishanti. When the punya is over, Kshinya Punye, then they have to come back again to this material world, to be born here for more suffering. Just like the prisoner, his head is dunked in the water, and then he's getting a little relief and dunked in the water again. At this point, I wanted to read from a lecture that Śrīla Prabhupāda gave this was given, let me see here, 1-2-23, on text number chapter 1, canto 1, chapter 2, text 23, in Los Angeles, California, on August 26, 1972. Śrīla Prabhupāda gave some supplementary explanation of this verse of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Prajamna leads the chanting, Sattvam Rajastama iti prakrite gunaster yuktaha paraha purusha ekaihi asya dhatti stityadaye harivirincha hariti sangyaha shriyam si tatra khalu sarvatanor nrinam syuhu. Translation: the transcendental personality of Godhead is indirectly associated with the three modes of material nature, namely passion, goodness, and ignorance, and just for the material world's creation, maintenance, and destruction, he accepts the three qualitative forms of Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. Of these three, all human beings can derive ultimate benefit from Vishnu, the form of the quality of goodness. Prabhupada. So material world means the three qualities. Material world is going on under three energetic energies, sattva, rajas, tamas. We have explained several times, we see varieties of living entities, varieties of trees, varieties of everything. Anywhere you go, you simply find varieties. Some of them you like, some of them you do not like. So these varieties are due to these three material modes of nature, sattva, rajas, tamas. So when creation has taken place, the things should be managed properly. So Krishna himself, he expands into three forms for management. One form is Lord Vishnu, one form is Lord Shiva, and the other form is Lord Brahma. Brahma creates, Lord Vishnu maintains, and Lord Shiva destroys. Because in the material nature, you cannot have anything permanent. That is material nature. It is just like the flashlight. When you pass through roads and avenues, there are three lights, red, blue, and yellow. They're passing through always. Not that the blue is always existing, or red is always existing, or yellow is always. Passing simply. That is nature, material nature. Here, everything is born. That is called srishti, creation. Everything is creation. That is our experience. Everything is created and it is maintained for some time. Just like my body, your body is created and it will be maintained for some times. But at the end, when the body is old, it will be destroyed. This is material nature. Some of the philosophers, they say there is no such thing, creation or destruction. Everything is existing always. That we also accept. That everything is existing always means Krishna. And Krishna, the creation is going through three stages. The creation taking place, it is being maintained for some time, and again it is destroyed. These things are going on. The same example, the lights, flashlights, they're coming and going, but the puller of the lights behind the light is existing. Similarly, the creator is existing, but not the creation. Creation is coming into existence. He's sustained and again, but the creator is there. Aham eva samagre. Lord Krishna says that before creation, I was there. Otherwise, who will create? Before creation, I was there. While creation is maintained, I am there. And when it is destroyed, still I am there. So in 3 stages, Krishna is there in the past, present, and future. Therefore, he knows everything. If under my direction something is going on, I've created something. It is maintained and it is destroyed. I'm seeing or I'm ordering, then I'm always existing. I know when it is created, when it is maintained, and when it is destroyed. So Krishna knows past, present, and future. Krishna does not mean alone. Krishna means there is another kingdom. Just like when we speak of a king, it means the king is not alone. There is queen, there is palace, there is bodyguard, there is secretary, there is commander-in-chief, so many things. Just like in England, there is Queen Elizabeth. It does not mean that Queen Elizabeth is alone. She's got so many paraphernalia. Similarly, when we speak of Krishna, Krishna means his name, his form, his quality, his activities, his pastimes, his friends, his mother, his father, his coward cows, his Vrindavan, so many things. That is another variety. And here in this material world, this variety is imitation of that variety. And that variety is eternal. This variety is created, maintained, and destroyed. But in the middle, the point, Krishna is ever existing. One point I wanted to make is that anybody who wants to read these various lectures, they're available online on PrabhupadaBooks.com on the left side under lectures. And you can find so many lectures from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Bhagavad Gita, and like that. So I'll just leave the platform, Prabhu, to Vishwakarma Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Yes, I am. All glories to Śrīla Prabhupada. Thank you for that amazing explanation of these verses given by Śrīla Prabhupada. And of course, it stirred many thoughts in our minds and intelligence on how to understand the process of Krishna consciousness, which means to rise above the modes of nature. And this is part of the training for getting out of the prison house of material life. In the material society, they put you in jail. This is their training. Oh, if you break the law, then we'll put you in jail. We'll restrict you from doing anything in the public forum. You'll have to stay imprisoned in a wall. Your food and your whole cleanliness and your existence will be controlled by the state. So this is the punishment that is inflicted upon the people in the prison house. Now, in Krishna consciousness, we have to rise above the prison house of the 3 modes of material nature. These are the gunas, the ropes that bind us into this conditioned life. Prabhupada mentions in this text 24 in the purport and the last paragraph of the Bhagavatam verse today, Prabhupada says, uncivilized state of life, or the life of the lower animals, are controlled by the mode of tamas. Civilized life of man with a passion for various types of material benefits is the stage of rajas. The rajas stage of life has a slight clue to the realization of the absolute truth. Slight clue. And in the forms of fine sentiments in philosophy, art, and culture, with moral and ethical principles, but the modes of sattvam is still higher stage of material quality, which actually helps one in realizing the absolute truth. So in order to qualify oneself, Yaśodā-nandana Prabhupada has given us various directions. And I wanted Vinod to bring up a poster that Prabhupada had put on the wall in New York City to show the rules. And Vinod, is it possible that you could read them out for us so we could get the idea of what Prabhupada was trying to do in terms of training his disciples? Could you read them out for us?
Yeah, sure. Notice,
Thank
all
you.
initiated devotees must attend morning and evening classes, must not be addicted to any kind of intoxicants, including coffee, tea, and cigarettes. They are forbidden to have illicit sex connections. They must be strictly vegetarian, shouldn't extensively mix with non-devotees, should not eat foodstuff cooked by non-devotee, should not waste time in idle talks, nor engage himself in frivolous sports, should always chant and sing the Lord's holy names, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Ācārya, International Society for Krishna Consciousness, 26 2nd Avenue, New York, New York. Dated November 25th, 1966.
So here, I can remember when we joined the movement, Yaśodā Prabhu, back in Hamilton, we had 19 people became Prabhupada disciples here in the city of Hamilton, Ontario, which is quite extraordinary. And considering how few people do become devotees, how few people are interested in giving up anything for spiritual advancement, performing any form of tapasya. But I recall back then how strange it was to hear these instructions that we were receiving from Prabhupada on what we had to give up. It seemed insurmountable, almost too difficult. But what was the purpose of this tapasya, these austerities? To elevate us out of the animal state of life. Yes, animal. Because the business of the animal is the business of sense gratification, and that sense gratification principle will not allow one to become Krishna conscious. You disqualified yourself by your activities and your character. I'd like you to, if you could, put up the rules that we have for our society, the Prabhupada Disciples Society, which are based on this letter, Vinod, if you could. So here we have the rules of conduct. Now, the idea behind these rules is to follow in the footsteps of what Prabhupada was teaching back in 66. Chant 16 rounds of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra daily. Read Śrīla Prabhupāda's original books exclusively. Follow the 4 regulated principles. No meat eating, including fish and eggs. No intoxication. No gambling, including mental speculation, and no illicit sex. 4, offer your food to Krishna and eat only prasadam, and when possible, share your prasadam with others. Just scroll up, please. Preach to everyone you meet to become a devotee of Krishna. 6, distribute original Prabhupada books to everyone that is eligible to receive them. Attend the weekly PDA classes, Saturday, Sunday, and Wednesdays, and follow in the footsteps of our esteemed godbrother Jayananda Prabhu, and pledge to serve our mission in a humble state of mind as the servant of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda. So these rules are meant to elevate us out of the modes of goodness, passion, and ignorance, and place us on the transcendental platform of devotional service to Krishna and to the spiritual master. Now, Vinkat Prabhu had put up an interesting post on Facebook concerning, let me see if I can find it. Vinkat, it was the post that you put up for the chanting. And if you go to our Prabhupada Disciples Facebook group, you'll find so many wonderful quotes and explanations of our philosophy that are being delivered through the community of devotees for everyone's benefit. So Vinkat put up a post the other day about chanting 16 rounds. And I wanted to read that to us because this is the key, the foundation of your devotional service is the chanting of the holy name every day. Some people say to me, even some of my godbrothers who are initiated, I don't have time to chant my rounds. Well, when you took initiation from Prabhupada, you made a promise to chant your rounds. It wasn't an option. It was a commitment. And so everyone, irrespective of initiated or not initiated, has a commitment to chant these rounds in order to qualify oneself to understand this philosophy. You want to come to the classes, you want to participate in our sadhana program, you have to prepare yourself every day. That is part of building a character, and the character creates a destiny. The destiny is determined by your actions. And the actions are described by our spiritual master are very clearly in his training program to elevate us to the spiritual platform, to be receptive, to understand this philosophy. So here I'll read this last section. Do you have it in front of you, Vinkat Prabhu? Importance of completing 16 rounds. Please read it out for us. Vinkat Prabhu.
Okay.
Thank you.
Importance of completing 16 rounds. If you're completing 16 rounds and start to fall down, Krishna will hold you up and not allow that to happen. It was the first time I had ever missed chanting 16 rounds. I had completed 14 and was so tired, I rationalized that it was better to take a rest and make them up the next day, as we had been told we could do. When I went into Śrīla Prabhupāda's room early the next morning, the first thing His Divine Grace said to me was, "So, are you chanting all your rounds?" As always, he knew everything without requiring any outside information. I told him about missing 2 rounds the previous day and that I was going to make them up that day. Śrīla Prabhupada said, when you're regularly chanting 16 rounds, it's like a young child learning to walk with the help of the mother. Because the mother is holding the child's hand, when the child starts to fall, the mother holds them up and they don't actually fall. It is the same thing with chanting. If you're completing 16 rounds and start to fall down, Krishna will hold you up and not allow that to happen. Then, with his eyes open very wide and a transcendental move of his hand back and forth in front of his face, His Divine Grace said, however, if you are not chanting at least 16 rounds every day, your whereabouts are unknown and you will definitely fall down. So this is from Nanda Kumar, who was Śrīla Prabhupada's servant in the early 70s. Jai Śrīla Prabhupada.
Jai Prabhupada. So this instruction is still relevant today for all of the people that want to qualify themselves. In other words, people think that you can just do anything and you'll become Krishna conscious. No. or you can concoct something or manufacture some idea. I've had different godbrothers that I know that I joined with in the Krishna Consciousness movement back in 1970. And I asked them, are you chanting your rounds? Oh, that's private. That's private. I had inside information that the person was chanting 1 round a day. I mentioned to him, Prabhupada told us we had to chant 16 rounds, minimum. As we know, we had gone over this previous pastime with Mukunda when Prabhupada had told him to chant 64 rounds, then he reduced it to 32 rounds, and then he reduced it to 16 rounds. But that was basically the minimum number of rounds that he considered enough to maintain your consciousness. So qualification in Krishna consciousness begins by character development. That character development happens through discipline. Disciple means discipline. It's not easy. We all know that. There are so many different hardships. Maya is always trying to attack us fallen Kali Yuga Vaishnavas that Prabhupada picked up out of the material world. Somehow or other, he picked us up by Krishna's arrangement. And if we can just follow these basic principles, then we'll have potency. That is the strength of this group, is the potency of the members. It's not by any other means. So, like that, this Krishna consciousness movement is meant for victory, not failure. No failure. We don't want anybody to fall down. And Prabhupada has given us the direction and the understanding of how this will happen. Yaśodā, please, if you could continue.
This is a very significant point, because if we do not engage in this practice of regulated chanting, then what is our position? We take shelter of Śrīla Prabhupāda, and we are preaching that Prabhupada is the Acharya, the Jagat Guru, and that everyone can take shelter of him. But we have to show by example how this process works. Everybody has heard that verse from the Padma Purana, Ata Sri Krishna Namadi, Nabhaved Graham Indriyai, Sevan Mukhe Hijivado Swayameva Spuratyada, that it's not possible to understand Krishna's activities and his pastimes and his form and his qualities with these blunt material senses. One has to purify the senses. So the process of purification begins with the tongue, to vibrate the Maha Mantra and to take foodstuffs that have been offered to Krishna. Now, we've often discussed this. It's very important. Prabhupada is given the whole program. The program is already established. It's not that somebody has to invent or manufacture or concoct a new sadhana or a new program. It's already there. Prabhupada has given the program. He has shown practically how to practice the program. That's the bhakti program. Now, if somebody wants to engage in a bhukti program, B-H-U-K-T-I, which is sense gratification, that is simply going to continue the problems. Just like when Śrīla Prabhupada was in Hawaii, it was brought to his attention that some devotees were chanting, but not following very strictly, not following the principles, but they were engaging in chanting sometimes. And the devotees asked Śrīla Prabhupada, well, what's going to happen? Prabhupada said, yes, after millions of years, you may be able to get liberated. So in other words, why not take advantage of the good fortune and the gift that Śrīla Prabhupada has given and become serious in this lifetime and engage in this chanting, engage in this process, and make progress to go back home, back to Godhead. That is a very important message from His Divine Grace. Hare Krishna.
Yes, and I wanted to mention here in the purport in text 33, text 33 in the middle, it came to me, Yaśodā Prabhu, how insignificant we are. Remember, this universe, this creation is vast. Prabhupada said, the materialist and foolish human beings do worship Brahma and Shiva respectively, but the pure transcendentalists do worship the form God of goodness, Vishnu, in his various forms. Vishnu is manifested by his millions and billions of integrated and separated forms. Millions and billions of integrated forms and separated forms. The integrated forms are called Godhead, and the separated forms are called the living entities or the jivas. But either the jivas or Godhead, both of them have their original spiritual forms. The jivas are sometimes subjected under the control of the material nature, but the Vishnu forms are always controller of the material energy. So, the point is here, there are two processes of receiving knowledge. Ascending process and the descending process. So when you're a conditioned soul like we are in this material world, we've been going through millions of births and deaths. This is the cycle of samsara. The only way to get out is to receive transcendental knowledge from a liberated soul. This is the only possible way of understanding that which is beyond our experience. You know, we are like, Prabhupada uses the example, Yaśodā Prabhu, of the frog in the well. Trying to understand the length and breadth of the ocean from the well, because that is his experience. So that's the situation that all of us are in. We're insignificant, fallen souls. And by the grace of the spiritual master, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda only, that is no doubt. Sometimes people say to us, well, you need a living guru. We've discussed this. Well, Prabhupada is living in his sound vibration, his Vani incarnation. And by the descending process of knowledge, he can pick everyone up. Everyone. Whereas any other person that's portraying himself as such a person is simply posing. This is evident as we continue to study gloriously the books that he has given us in these classes at the Prabhupada Disciples Association. Venkat Prabhu, do we have any questions that have come up on the chat?
Yeah, we have a couple of questions.
Please.
Let me see.
Yeah.
So the
Thank you,
first
Venkat.
question was from Bhakta Hari Prasad Prabhu. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Śrīla Prabhupāda. I had a question in the context of the verses presented today. Though
Yes.
Lord Shiva is said to be the topmost Vaishnava, many devotees in our movement tend to criticize or undermine the position of Lord Shiva and his followers. Isn't this Vaishnava aparad at the topmost level?
We'll let Yaśodā Prabhu give that answer, please.
I posted on the chat there an answer from Śrīla Prabhupāda, basically explaining that, trying to see if it came in. It doesn't seem to have stuck there.
No, it didn't.
Okay. Basically explaining that Lord Shiva is regarded as the greatest of Vaishnavas. So we worship Lord Krishna, Lord Shiva, as the greatest Vaishnava, and then we do not accept Lord Shiva's position as a demigod. We don't worship Lord Shiva in the capacity of a demigod. Just like I quoted that verse from the Padma Purana, Yastu Narayanam Devam Brahma Rudradi Devate. Samatvena viksheta. Samatvena viksheta means to think that Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma are equal to Lord Vishnu. Sapashanti bhavidruvam. One becomes a blasphemer. But in the capacity of a Vaishnava, Lord Shiva we worship. We accept his position as in the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam in the 11th canto. It says that Vaishnavanam yata Shambhu, that Lord Shambhu, Shiva, is the greatest Vaishnava. He is always meditating on the lotus feet of Vishnu. With regard to the position of Lord Brahma, Prabhupada explains in the 3rd canto, chapter 12, text 28, Prabhupada establishes Lord Brahma's liberated and pure status. This extraordinary immorality on the part of Lord Brahma was heard to have occurred in some particular kalpa, epoch, but it could not have happened in the kalpa in which Lord Brahma heard directly from the Lord the 4 essential verses from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, because the Lord benefited Brahma after giving him Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. I can't read the right side of the stage, there's pictures there, that he would never be bewildered in any kalpa. And this indicates that before the hearing of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, he might have to such sensuality, but after hearing Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam directly from the Lord, there is no possibility of such failure. So actually, the little booklet we put together called the Our Living Guru, which is available online on our website, as a whole section that deals with this entire episodes of Lord Brahma, because people find fault with the Prabhupada devotees, Prabhupada only devotees, and say, well, you people say that no guru have ever fall down, and they try to criticize Lord Brahma. But there was a conversation with Śrīla Prabhupada in the morning walk where this incident with Lord Brahma had been brought up, and Prabhupada said, who is that rascal to suggest that Lord Brahma could have fallen down? And Prabhupada was very critical of the devotee that brought this example to try to prove that Lord Brahma, as the Acharya of our Sampradaya, fell down. Prabhupada did not accept that criticism very well. And in the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, this is very nicely explained. So there's a lot of details in Prabhupada's books that explain everything very nicely. And it's important for devotees to become familiar and read and study. It's not simply, oh, I've read the book. Okay, that's nice. You do it once, you peruse through the books, that's good. So now get serious and study. Scrutinizingly study, carefully and detailed study of Prabhupada's books. This was Śrīla Prabhupada's expectation. When we were in a Gurukul in 1976, for the few years I was there, in 1977, when Prabhupada gave me several instructions how to conduct a Gurukul and Varnashram program, he explained to me that you have to make sure that these students, they get the chance to study every word of my books. You study and discuss. They have to be trained to properly study. And Prabhupada gave specific instructions how he wanted us to study. You read the text, you read the Sanskrit words, and then you read each word for word, the translation of each Sanskrit word. You read the translation, you read the purport, and somebody should take notes. Any citations and quotations in Sanskrit or Bengali, make a note. Any example or analogies, make a note. All the various points, the major points that are coming out in the purport, you can list them. Prabhupada says you list them one after the other. And Prabhupada said, then you can have questions. You raise some questions and you discuss the answers with the students. Now, we did this with the students that were from 10, 11, 12 years old. And we found this to be very successful. This was a method that Prabhupada recommended for devotees to study his books very carefully, analytically. And if somebody is serious, you can get yourself a notebook and start that today. I mean, if you look at the Bhagavad Gita, look at, for example, chapter 1 of Bhagavad Gita. If you were to take every purport that Prabhupada gives, and you take out in the purport any quotation in Sanskrit, whether it's one word, two words, or an entire verse, put it aside. Any major point you put it aside. You're going to find there's such a richness, there's such a transcendental treasure of extremely valuable instruction. For example, this issue of Lord Brahma and this alleged incident of him running after his daughter. I mean, in order to understand these things, a devotee has to properly study. And now, with the advent of this modern technology, a devotee can go online and look at the word Brahma or put a certain combination of words and very easily find out so many explanations from Śrīla Prabhupada, so many gems. It's like if you were to go to the ocean and all of a sudden you find all these gems there. All you have to do is go down and pick them up. But if you ignore them and keep walking down the beach, how will you benefit? Just like in the ocean, there's pearls, there's coral, there's so many things, so many gems. Or in the mountains, silver, gold, zinc, so many things. So it's up to us to learn, to mine, to submissively search Prabhupada's books, Prabhupada teachings to understand. Just yesterday, I was having a conversation with a devotee in India, in South India. He called me up. He said, well, why did Prabhupada or Krishna not send immediately after Prabhupada departed a great Acharya who would explain all of the problems, who would explain? I said, well, the explanation is there. It's been given. It's up to us to follow it. It's up to us to dig it out. How serious are we to understand Prabhupada's teachings? How serious are we? How dedicated are we to follow his teachings? And then, because then sometimes devotees say, well, I don't seem to be getting much of a taste. Well, how much of an effort have we put in? Prabhupada put the effort. He was sleeping 2 hours a night. He came on the boat. He had 2 heart attacks. We're just reading, Vishwakarma Prabhu was reading from Prabhupada's diary, how much effort, how much detail, how many sacrifices he made to start this movement. Everything has been done. How much effort do we have to do? To read a book? To chant? To cook prasadam and offer it properly? That's not difficult. The difficulty is we have no taste. That is the problem. And the taste can come. We just have to apply ourselves to it. What do you think, Venkat Prabhu? You think it's a good idea?
Yes, Prabhu. It's something I'm struggling with as well. Like just developing that taste to read constantly,
Excellent.
daily. But yeah.
Yes. Oh, Venkat, you're such a wonderful devotee. We're so proud to have you with our group. And I know that a lot of us, that a lot of the devotees that talk to me are so impressed with the wonderful work that you're doing to help us in delivering this message of Krishna consciousness to the globe. And I wanted to further comment, and we have other questions that have come up, so we'll get Venkat to read them out. But I wanted to comment that Yaśodā, Prabhupada's purports and Prabhupada's lectures are ever fresh. I know sometimes when I'm riding, when my CD player used to work, I would listen to the same lecture 15 times. And every time I would hear the lecture, I get some new insight. I know I talked to my friend Dr. Joe Felice here in Hamilton. We discuss the philosophy on a daily basis. And he's read the Gita maybe 10 times in the period that I've known him. And every time he reads the Gita, he tells me it's ever fresh. He never ceases to be amazed by what he learns when he reads the books of Śrīla Prabhupada over and over again and enjoys them so much. This particular version of the Bhagavatam is, me personally, my favorite. Now, I might have read this particular Bhagavatam 30 times, this particular version, this 62. And I can tell you honestly, today's I said to my Bhakta Walter, who lives here at the ashram with me, I explained to him this morning, oh, today is the Bhagavatam class. Now he's now taken up watching the classes every day from the ashram here and enjoying them. And I told him that this Bhagavatam is one of the most enlivening classes that you could attend if you want to make advancement in Krishna consciousness. And these purports that Prabhupada is delivering are just absolutely superlative in their understanding. And just understanding one purport, Balaram, is sufficient to make you a pure devotee. Just understand one. Prabhupada said you can become Krishna conscious in one moment. It's just a matter of understanding the fact and surrendering. We have so much to work. You did make a point, Balaram, that we should have more classes. Well, one of our members of the media team has suggested to us, Bhakta Mark here in Hamilton, that we present our philosophy more regularly. And we have 100 classes now on our Krishna Conscious Movement YouTube channel. So we'll put those in rotation. We're going to put Prabhupada classes in rotation. We'll put Prabhupada's japa in rotation. Prabhupada's chanting. Today I was listening to other versions of Prabhupada chanting japa. Meticulous in his chanting, his pronunciation. It was extraordinary. How he goes on with this process of Krishna consciousness and setting perfect example for us in our lives in 2023. So Prabhupada is living with us in this mission that we have to spread his glories throughout the human society. Vinkat, any other questions that have come up on the chat here?
No, I don't see any other questions. And Balaram Prabhu has his hand raised. Yeah.
Yes, Balaram in Turkey, please. You have a question or a comment.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, excuse the background. I've got something else going on at the same time. Well, from what I heard of today's class, and generally, actually, we come again to the most important point that we all struggle with, new and old devotees, it seems like, which is association. So it's a very simple solution, actually, as each one of us can see ourselves and have faith in ourselves and develop that confidence that you are a little temple, you yourself, every single devotee. So every single devotee is more or less doing their japa early in the morning, more or less listening to a class or reading a class themselves. So what they can do is do that, because you're doing it anyway, and just go live with it. Go live and try to get your local devotees around you involved. And then naturally, like I think Vishwakarma Prabhu is doing class every day in his house, so he can just press the live button and that will be live, and people who are interested in his local area can kind of get association. You get association with that Prabhupada original books, with that Prabhupada loving association. The host has asked you to start your video. Oh, sorry, I didn't realize the video was off. Okay, is that video okay now? Yeah.
Please.
Is that okay?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Please
So,
finish your
so really, actually, the thing that I'm start to see and hear is that devotees become weak out of a lack of association when they live alone. And pretty much, we have to admit that the Ritvik camps, they're pretty much fragmented and sort of single devotees all over the place. We haven't got the community yet to come together. So that can be started very nicely by just, like me, I'm here by myself in this area, and I've got friends in Istanbul and a few other cities. So I just go live with my morning reading, go live with my japa time, and we're giving each other association, support, and encouragement. We're starting to gel together. So that can be done anywhere in the world. And every day you got a wonderful class from Prabhupada's writing. And as I'm starting to see also that as we read more every day his class, whatever questions we have, like I've had many questions, and they get answered. They come up in the purple, like sometimes half an hour later, sometimes 2 days later. So as you connect with Prabhupada and his purports, you get the answers. And this is exactly what Prabhupada says will happen. So it only needs that we need to associate with him more. And like-minded devotees would be better, of course. So in this way, we can support both yourself and others in your local area by just doing everything live. Just go live. Have that confidence.
Okay, excellent. Well, we wish you the best of success where you are. You're in a very difficult environment there, in a sense. And you're using your intelligence. This is a valuable gift to be able to understand how to preach and make devotees. So this is by your personal example.
Exactly. And isn't it Prabhupada's mood? We can see that in Prabhupada's mood, he was always like, even newish devotees, is like, okay, go there, open temple. Okay, go there, do this. Just giving that empowerment and giving that encouragement and confidence that you can do it. Don't be scared. Come on, just go. Depend on Krishna, depend on me, and everything will happen.
Well, keep up the good work, Prabhu. And where is it? You're Turkey somewhere? What's the city? What city
in the south coast of Turkey. I used to be in Istanbul, the main city, but I just moved about 3 years ago. So I'm in the south coast of Turkey. So if any of you are passing by Turkey or flying to India, you can make a point to drop in Turkey. And
well, I would love to come and visit. We would love to visit you someday. I know myself and Yaśodā would love to visit. We have limited budgets to get on planes and fly, but we're here.
Well, I can suggest that Turkish Airlines, wherever you're flying from, if you use Turkish Airlines, that price is quite okay. They will directly fly you from wherever you are to Turkey and then go on to India. So you kind of get 2 birds with 1 stone. And we would love to have you here, of course.
Thank you very much. We very much appreciate the invitation.
Hare
Venkat Prabhu, we have another question here from Andreas. Where's Andreas from? Venkat, do you know?
I'm not sure where he's from. Perhaps he can tell us.
Yeah.
I can read out the question.
Please read out the question for Yaśodā-nandana.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, accept my respectful obeisances unto Śrīla Prabhupāda. I have a question. Is it a force or acceptable to sit on the Vyasasana unqualified?
I think he's saying, is it a farce or acceptable to sit on the Vyasasana unqualified? That's what it is. It's not farce, I guess. Yaśodā, Prabhu.
Well, Śrīla Prabhupada explains in the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, let me dial that back a bit. During Prabhupada's manifested presence, the devotees who gave a class on the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, they had a seat for the speaker of the Bhagavatam. First, it started with a little asana, and as the years went by, it got a little higher. And as everybody knows, after Prabhupada's non-manifested presence in 1978, the various self-appointed acharyas, they put up their own big vyasasanas, and a lesser vyasasana was given to the people who was spoken of Bhagavatam. Originally, it was just an asana or a cushion on the floor. Now, the idea of sitting on a vyasasana is also out of respect for Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam and the person delivering the message of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. But if you look in the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam itself, in the first canto of the Bhagavatam, Śrīla Prabhupada explains that in order to sit on a vyasasana, one should be conversant with the 6 darshanas, or the 6 systems of philosophy, be spotless in character. So the point is, our movement has undergone a lot of different transformations with this issue of vyasasana, and it's still today They have various individuals on the internet giving lectures on fairly large pieces of furniture. Now, I'm not going to engage in criticism of devotees with regards to that, but the best thing to do is to take a humble position. Let the Vyasasana be for Śrīla Prabhupada, the most perfect pure devotee, the topmost Mahabhagavata, and take a humbler position. That is the best thing. I see here that there's a comment from Balaram Prabhu, as egos get bigger, the seat becomes higher and bigger from asana to Vyasasana, and it's a very good point. In other words, you don't need furniture to preach. You can preach very simply. I've often given this example. In 1986, during the so-called reform, when they form a 50-man committee in ISKCON to basically readjust their system, one of the original 11 told a friend of mine, my only concern is how big can my picture be on the altar? Can it be 5 inches, or is it going to be just an inch or two? And when the person told him, he said, well, it really doesn't belong there. That's just for the great Mahabhagavats, for the great powerful previous acharyas. And the person became angry because he was only concerned about his own picture, how much glorification he was going to get. So this is the problem with this whole issue of Vyasasana. I mean, people should get themselves familiar with Prabhupada's statements about who's qualified to sit on a Vyasasana. And I do understand the point that during Prabhupada's presence, I'm referring to his manifested presence, that different devotees who gave classes on Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Bhagavad Gita, Chaitanya Charitamrita, or different classes would be given a respectful seat. But as the movement grew, the seats grew bigger and bigger. And as the point is very well made, as ego gets bigger, the seat becomes higher. That's a very good point. And I hope it answers the question.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Excellent. We have our friend, God brother Jonas Priya in Hawaii. I hope I know it's an early rise for you for the class. I wanted to hear your comments on today's class for us, Jonas Priya.
Hare Krishna, all glories to Śrīla Prabhupāda. Please accept my humble obeisances. As always, I'm very enlivened to be here and hear everybody's wonderful katha. And because hearing, like you were saying, the hearing is the most important aspect of our philosophy. That's the way we water our bhaktis, through the ear. So this hearing is so welcome, and we should always, our hunger for hearing should always be there. We should always have this hunger that we want to hear. So then when we hear, it becomes very, very nice. We want to be doing that instead of saying, oh, well, I'll turn on the class, but somebody might be watching a soccer game or something else all the time. So this is our choice. So we have such limited time. At least I'm talking for myself. I had many, many health challenges, and I feel I'm on the final stretch. So why not put the little extra effort and use this time, like Prabhupada said, if you got time, do what? Chant Hare Krishna. And like that one verse, Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu showed about if we chant our 16 rounds, then Krishna has no choice. He's forced to help us, not let us fall down. But if we neglect chanting our rounds and hearing, associating with the devotees, then we put ourselves in a very, very precarious position. And so I always pray that Krishna somehow please keep me in the association of devotees that are following what Śrīla Prabhupada told us to do. They're not making up new things. Simply Prabhupada said, I've given you enough. I've given you plenty. Just follow. Don't invent anything. Just maintain what I've given you. And this will bring true happiness in our life. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Janaspriya in Hawaii, and we're looking forward to visiting you someday there. Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, please.
Prabhupada used to often say, if you make one step towards Krishna, Lord Krishna will make 10 steps towards you. Another famous Prabhupada statement is, don't ask so much whether or not you can see Krishna, but act in such a way that Krishna will want to see you in your service. In other words, there's a very important points here which Śrīla Prabhupada has brought up, but Śrīla Prabhupada has given us so much instruction. And like I was reading a very important comment from Balaram Prabhu. Prabhupada said, Śrīla Prabhupada's departure was not the peak of his association. It is the beginning of much, much more association as much and more Vani becomes available. And this is a very important point. We keep preaching on this program, as Vishwakarma Prabhu has mentioned, that Prabhupada is available through his Vani incarnation. It is a fallacy to think that Prabhupada is dead and gone. In 1979, the GBC of ISKCON assembled at Vrindavan to literally chastise the deviant Smarta Brahmins, namely myself and Prajimna Panditji. And one GBC made a statement that now that Prabhupada is dead, it's not practical to accept him as a guru. It's not accepting reality. And one GBC put an elbow in the ribs of that person. But this shows you the mentality of these people. That Prabhupada is dead and gone, he's not available, and our physicality is here. No, that is not the philosophy which Śrīla Prabhupada gave. Prabhupada is always available. How eager are we to avail ourselves of Prabhupada's philosophy? Now, I want to discuss an important point about Acharya fall down, because this is a big topic of discussion that took place in the early 1980s after 3 self-appointed acharyas experienced problems. This is a conversation with Śrīla Prabhupada that took place in Vrindavan on December 10th, 1975. December 10th, 1975. It's a morning walk conversation. Akshayananda, I was recently told by one devotee that the Acharya doesn't have to be a pure devotee. Prabhupada, what? Akshayananda, that the Acharya does not have to be a pure devotee. Prabhupada, who is that rascal? Akshayananda, well, he said it. Who said it? Prabhupada, who said? Who is that rascal? The Acharya doesn't require to be a pure devotee. Akshayananda, he said it. Nitai said it. He said in this context, he said that Lord Brahma is the Acharya in the Brahma Sampradaya, but yet he's sometimes afflicted by passion. So therefore he's saying that it appears that the Acharya doesn't have to be a pure devotee. So it doesn't seem right. Prabhupada, so who is that rascal? I want to know who has said. Akshayananda, Nitai Das. Hare Krishna, Nitai said that? Prabhupada, who is Nitai Das? Hare Krishna, our Nitai. Akshayananda, Nitai, Prabhupada, oh, our Nitai, oh. Akshayananda, he said he could not understand it, but he said that he thought, Prabhupada, he manufactured his idea, therefore he is rascal. Therefore he is a rascal. Nitai has become an authority. Akshayananda, no, actually he said that he thought, Prabhupada, he taught something rascaldom, and he's expressing that. Therefore he's more rascal. These things are going on. As soon as he reads some books, he becomes an acharya, whatever rascal he may be. Akshayananda. So there's no doubt that Lord Brahma is a pure devotee. Prabhupada, whatever he may be, he's acharya. So then Krishna is also passionate? Krishna is also passionate? Krishna danced with so many gopis, therefore he is passionate? These things are to be seen in this way, that such exalted person, he sometimes become passionate. So how much we shall be careful. This is the instruction. Then we petty things, petty persons, how much we shall be careful. It is not that Acharya has become passionate, therefore I shall become passionate. I am strict follower of Acharya, these rascals say. Hare, sorry. So Lord Brahma is being attracted to his daughter. That is just as an example. So why you discuss this? Therefore you shall be attracted with your daughter, mother? So do you think so, like that? Hare, sorry. No, Indian man, in this world, this is our disease. This is our disease. Prabhupada, yes, that disease. Brahma, Lord Shiva also, he was attracted to the Mohini. So they are Ishvara, they are controllers. So the instruction is that even such personalities may be sexually attracted. So how much we shall remain careful. This is the instruction, like the other rascal who was saying that Krishna was killed by a hunter. Therefore, hunter is greater than Krishna. Indian man, Rajgopalacharya, he is written in Mahabharata that Krishna was killed by a hunter. Prabhupada, therefore the hunter, Indian man, Krishna passes away, the heading of his chapter. Hare Krishna, you said about a couple years ago that what ordinary man would be killed, he was shot an arrow by a heel. I mean, shot in the heel by an arrow. No ordinary man dies that way. Prabhupada, so who reads Rajgopal's Mahabharata? Laughter. They're rotting at Bharatidya Vidya Bhavan. So in this way, Prabhupada is explaining that this is a very important point, because the GBC, after the extraordinary behavior of these three individuals in the late 1970s, early 1980s, they issued a report in which they publicly criticized Lord Brahma for this incident. But they didn't check in Prabhupada's books and Prabhupada conversations whether or not Śrīla Prabhupada had made any commentary on this. There's also the purport on Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam that we read earlier about the extraordinary immorality of Lord Brahma happened before he heard Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. So it's important to take shelter of Śrīla Prabhupada and his teachings, not some nonsense rascaldom coming from self-appointed acharyas. Very important point. I think that Bhakti Ran Singh has also made a comment. He stated, the individual guru cults in their misdirection in Sacramento have swindled and misdirected the local ISKCON movement in Sacramento, California. A lot of relearning and brainwashing needs to be done locally to rectify the situation. So very nice. Very
Yes.
nice. Hare Krishna.
Bhakti Ran, thank you, Yaśodā. That was brilliant, by the way. And it really reveals to all of us how important it is to study in detail Prabhupada's teachings so that we have some credibility in what we're telling others based on our learning. And this is going on now in the other society, that people don't know what they're talking about. It's all concoctions and fabrications based on personal ambition, and it's distorting the whole Vaishnava chain of disciplic succession. Ron Singh, how are you today in Sacramento?
Pretty good, Prabhu. So we are having Malati coming here in Sacramento. She's
Oh, yeah.
one of the leaders of the feminist movement in ISKCON. You know, she kind of blooped in 1980 and then came back in the 1990s, and now she's parading around as some Swamini. And as we know what Prabhupada says about female gurus, you know, it's not very nice. So there's total bewilderment here in locally in Sacramento movement. And I'd like to address a comment to one devotee here. His name is Bharat. There's a Bharat Das in Sacramento. And I'm not sure if that is him or not, but if he's that same Bharat in Sacramento, I'd like him to comment if he's the same person.
I don't know. I don't know. We
Yeah.
I
can't
think
tell.
this I can tell you. I
Actually,
think this Bharat is from Augusta, Georgia.
yeah, I'm from
Okay.
Augusta, Prabhu.
Oh,
Okay,
thank you.
great. So
Excellent.
yes, so that's what's going on. You know, a lot of misdirection, swindling of the movement, hijacking of the assets, disobeying Śrīla Prabhupada's direct orders. So this has brought chaos to a very simple and spiritual movement. So everything needs to be rectified and cleaned up. So, and the time factor is making that possible. Krishna says, "I am time." And Śrīla Prabhupada also says that we can't be cheated forever. So I think it's high time right now. Yes, Prabhu.
That's a very good point that you've made, and it relates to our group, Ram Raghava, in that we have a large membership of bhaktas globally that are following us. Now we're approaching 10,000 members, even our one social media group, Prabhupada Disciples Association. And there is another group, Ram Raghava, that also has a group page on the Facebook media, social media, and they have 800 people approximately, because they have a rule that unless you were personally initiated by Prabhupada, you can't be a member of that group. So like that, as each member dies, then eventually there'll be no more members in this group. There'll be no more Prabhupada disciples. And this is much different than the Prabhupada Disciples Association, where we're encouraging people to take up this process. And if they so desire, it's them that make the decision, not us. If they make the decision to qualify themselves to become a Prabhupada disciple, then our senior group of devotees will review their request and determine if they qualify to be a part of the formal initiation as a Prabhupada disciple. So our numbers will continue to increase, not decrease or disappear. Ron Singh, you made a very good point. This week we got notice, one bhakta that used to be in my Sankirtan team in Montreal, his name is Shivaram Swami, is suffering severe health conditions, and it looks like he may depart. Gopal Kṛṣṇa, who used to work with us as our GBC here in Canada, is also having difficulty with his health. And then we just got a word that there's another devotee in, what was his, from Japan, Ron Singh, what was his name? It's slipping my attention right now. He's in Germany right now, and he's also having health conditions. So these principles of time are affecting everyone. But the message of Prabhupada, the message of this mission will not go away with the growth of the Prabhupada Disciples Association and its membership as we continue to expand. Just see, that's the difference. Rakesh, we're going to wind up the class here and discussion because it's getting on in the day, and I know everybody has things they have to do. Rakesh has an iPhone hand up. Rakesh, where are you located?
It's me. It's Ram Raghava.
He's got a secret name.
I'm sorry I can't take part more today, but I was cooking a feast for a Mother's Day feast. Today I'm going to offer the prasad in a little while and have the feast for the Matajis here. But I wanted to welcome Bharat Prabhu. And this is in regarding to what Balaram Prabhu had mentioned earlier. We had actually started a group like that. We do chanting japa every Sunday morning from 7 to 8. And Bharat Prabhu is also joins with his wife. And then there's another couple, and of course, my parents. And I know Bharat Prabhu is modest, so he won't tell about himself, but he lived in the Vrindavan temple in the 1990s for several years. And but he, I think he recognized there's some problems and issues, so he left. But he's still active in Krishna consciousness, and very nice devotee. We have programs regularly. The other couples that are from ISKCON, they know that I accept Prabhupada's system, but they don't object, and we have programs regularly together. So anyway, just wanted to add that along, and welcome to Bharat Prabhu.
Excellent. It's good to hear that you're doing really well there with the group, and it'll continue to grow, because the truth cannot be in any way interfered with by non-truth or lies or cheating. This is the truth, period. What we're presenting is the truth of the matter. And we are prepared to discuss this on any platform with anybody that wants to come forward and bring their points of controversy with us. We are quite open to that. And we are ready to deal with it. So I wanted to remind everybody that we'll be back online on Wednesday evening for Chaitanya Charitamrita class in Eastern Canada here, Eastern United States at 8 p.m. And so you can look forward to that. And we're also carrying on with our plans to bring forward Hare Krishna magazine, which is now in preparation. And it'll be a spectacular explanation of the philosophy in a format that can be used online in a PDF or also in a printed copy. And I think everyone will be excited to see the results of what we're producing in our efforts to establish the truth about Krishna consciousness and the guru situation that exists currently in the world of confusion. We want to dispel that. So thank you very much, everyone. It was a pleasure. Thank you, Bharat, for joining us. We really appreciate you coming on board with us. And Rick, Ram Raghava, now I know. Rick, I'll try to remember Rakesh's iPhone. So all glories to Śrīla Prabhupada, all glories to the Sankirtan movement. Venkat Prabhu, please bring forward the chanting of the kirtan. Chant along, everyone. It's a short chant. And meditate, listen carefully to Prabhupada's voice, and get carried away into the transcendental realm of the Sankirtan mission, led by the pure devotee A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Śrīla Prabhupāda. Hari Hari Bol.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaurabhakta Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaurabhakta Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaurabhakta Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, 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 Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Let us offer
Vanchakalpatarubhyascha
Yascha,
kripa sindubhya eva cha
Cha,
patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo
Namo
namaha.
Namaha.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. All glory to Śrīla Prabhupāda.